Welcome, everyone, and thanks for being here today. A really exciting day as we welcome Coach Dickert. We're very grateful for everybody in the Winston-Salem and Wake Forest community. Today's run of show, we are going to welcome up President Wente here in a moment. She will have opening remarks, and then Vice President and Director of Athletics John Curry will have opening remarks, and then we'll have an opportunity where we'll have a group picture with President Wente, John Curry, and new Coach Dickert. And then Coach Dickert will take the podium. After his remarks, we will have questions from the media, and then we'll invite John Curry back up. So without further ado, I welcome President Wente.
Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate all of your efforts to be here on this special day. It is a great day to be a Demon Deacon. It's an exciting day for Wake Forest, for our athletics program, for Wake Forest football, as we welcome Jake Dickert as our 33rd coach of our Demon Deacon football team. Welcome, Coach. Now, Wake Forest's first football team was formed in 1888. So 2025, there were a few seasons off here and there. Maybe recruiting players was slower than expected. But fall of 2025, we will be launching our 123rd season. That's history. That shows you why this means so much to Wake Forest and our community. Coach Dickert joins us at a time when Wake Forest has tremendous momentum, not only in our athletics program, but across our entire university. His coaching experience and his leadership philosophy make him an excellent fit for Wake Forest at this particular moment in our university and our football program's history. To compete at the highest levels during a time when there are such seismic shifts and changes in the athletics landscape, leadership is critical. We believe Jake is the right leader at the right time and in the right place. He's ready and truly passionate about leading our program. I want to thank Vice President and Athletic Director John Curry for an aggressive, very deliberate, very careful, very thorough, very efficient search process that included members of our Board of Trustees and administrative and academic leadership. Thank you so much, John. Now, during my meetings with Jake, I was impressed by his demonstrated commitment to fostering excellence and focusing on student athletes as people first. How he spoke to an ethic of care and upholding character and integrity resonated with every person he met. Yes, he grew up in a small town in the Midwest, and his father is an educator, just like me. All of his experiences have fundamentally shaped his approach to coaching and mentoring student athletes. Jake proved to me that he understands what makes Wake Forest special, what makes us a great university, the exceptional education we provide, and our people. Jake also recognizes the importance of creating and sustaining meaningful connections with his players and with the community. And with the deep history of connections between Wake Forest football and our Winston-Salem and broader Demon Deacon community, such a highly relational quality was a requirement for us. We are so glad that Jake is here. And I also want to warmly welcome his wife Candace and their children, Riley, Jet, and Jace. Welcome to the Wake Forest family. No coach can do this alone, and we are so happy that you are all here with him and with us. So again, let's welcome Coach Dickert, welcome the Dickert family, and go Deeks!
Well, thank you very much, President Wente. It's great to see everyone here. I appreciate all the media members, ACC Network, ESPN, et cetera, who've traveled here on relatively short notice. It's also great to see some of our student athletes, some of whom live close, some of whom a little farther. Obviously, we got a national program like we got a national university, so I know we got a bunch more watching on Zoom and the internet and streaming and all those kinds of things. As we stand here today, I really want to thank all the members of our facilities, our Proof of the Pudding partners who made this breakfast, our event ops and communication teams who've scrambled over the last 72 hours to pull off some incredible logistics in a first-class manner, both to honor Coach Clausen the other day and this event here right now. So if you're one of those event ops or logistics people or communicate, Allison, you raise your hand here so people can give you a round of applause, right? Ellie, right? Emily Ritchie, unbelievable. Coach, this is your Army, and they're ready to get going in support of you and your program. I also want to express my appreciation for President Wente. She came in 2021, and the first thing that happened is I said, hey, President Wente, I know it might be hard as a president to, first thing you do is build a massive football complex, but we got a guy that wants to make the lead gift, and we got a great plan here, and we can do it. Is that okay? And she said, go for it. And then later on, we going into a great season, a significant commitment to continue our staff with Coach Clausen and his staff, and then Coach Forbes and other things going along. She spent an incredible amount of time on the ACC as vice chair of the ACC Board of Directors. And another thing you see about President Wente, when we played for the national championship down in Cary a couple weeks ago with Coach DeLuce, and Coach DeLuce sends his apologies, but he's babysitting his grandchildren in Raleigh today. President Wente's there in the crowd, and our student athletes know her. She comes and speaks to them. She's on the field at senior day. She's also a great biochemist and all that kind of academic stuff, right? But she is deeply invested in our student athletes and our athletics program, and she's been an unbelievable partner and mentor for me. She's also holds people very accountable, and so I have to be very detailed when I go in to have meetings with President Wente. Speaking of our head coaches, we have some head coaches here, and our national championship head tennis coach who took us back to the Final Four this year, Tony Bresky. Jeff Weichner, our women's tennis coach, the most educated coach in America with multiple advanced degrees, and has had the Demon Deacons in the NCAA tournament for a record number of years. Coach Weichner. We got Coach Megan Jebby over here, who's building from scratch and the ground up a women's basketball program. And tomorrow at 3 o'clock, right? 3 o'clock? 3 o'clock, okay? You can't eat all the time. You can come to the game, right? You can come to the game at 3 o'clock and watch your women's basketball game. Moms and dads get the kids out of the house and all that kind of stuff. The Deacon Shop will be open over there. You can pick some stuff up and you can watch our women's basketball team against UNCG and have a great time. And I might even buy you a Roll the Quad IPA if you ask me at the right moment in time. If you think about Wake Forest and our priorities, our goal, our number one goal is world-class student-athlete experience. And as we talked to our student athletes the other day, obviously it's a moment of incredible transition. There's been unbelievable stability at Wake Forest and Wake Forest football, right? A lot of universities do this like every 2 or 3 years, right? We've only done this twice this century, okay? So this is a significant moment in turning of the page for Wake Forest football. But to turn this around, the reason we did it is we did it for these men over here and their teammates, right? To shrink the length of uncertainty for them so they can get back to the things that they love doing. And you can't do that unless you have a university that's fully aligned and student-centric. Only at a place like Wake Forest could you have the kind of inclusive engagement we've had in this process in a compressed timeline, confidentially, only at a place like Wake Forest. I want to mention, I'm going to mention a lot of people, actually. So, Coach, you just got to cool it here, all right? In about 10 minutes, nobody's going to care about me ever again. So it's going to be all about you, right? But this was able to move along pretty quickly. And, it started with Coach Clausen, who confided in me, and I'll always be honored in that, a little while ago of his thoughts. But, right in the middle of grading exams and the end of the semester and all that kind of stuff, we were able to get our provost, Michelle Gillespie, vice president for campus life, Dr. Shay Kidd Brown, Pete Brubaker, our faculty athletics rep, John Sumanth, the chair of the Senate Athletics Committee and esteemed business school faculty member who's here, our faculty senate president, Dr. Sailor Breckenridge, Corey Walker, the dean of the Wake Forest School of Divinity, Nate Plagueman, the chair of the Faculty Athletics Committee, and a history professor. I'm in the history department myself, but I don't think he would have graded my papers too well. To get that group on the phone on a Zoom like that wanted to help, we actually talked twice, and then they interviewed Coach Dickert, and I thought it was just, I kind of set them up, right? Because I said, hey, I want you to meet these people, right? But then they started asking like academic questions, right? And I was like, oh my goodness, but he nailed it, and I appreciate it, and then we had a great conversation afterwards with that group. Our board chair, Gene Whitman-Bobbitt in Dallas, Texas, has been an unbelievable rock throughout the conversations. Obviously, as this evolved and Coach Clausen made his decision, we had to move really quickly, and she and board vice chair Kurt Farmer, Matt King, another vice chair, Mike Smith, the chair of the trustee athletics committee, Frank Holding from the finance committee had to sign off on a bunch of stuff real fast, and he's a pretty busy guy running one of the biggest banks in the country. All those people pitched in to help make this happen. This is an integrated institutional decision that was made here this week. It was not just an AD running off and doing something. I also need to thank Ben Sutton, who's the chair of the Transportation Committee, who's deeply embarrassed that he forgot about Flight Tracker. Apologize for that. Mitch Shaw, and then Don Flo. And interestingly, Don's down working in Raleigh today, and Ben's working in Atlanta, and Mitt's working somewhere. But all those guys like drop everything to be counsel to me to what is an extraordinarily pressure-filled transition. Dr. Jackie Travisano, who's our vice president and my partner in the Grounds Project, executive vice president for finance and administration, and Ashley Brock and Brian White, our general counsel. Also want to recognize the president that introduced me, and I realize I'm wearing the same suit. I can still fit in it. 6 years ago, Dr. Hatch is here somewhere, who's been a stalwart supporter and a leader, president of the NCAA in his past, et cetera. On our team inside athletics, there's 200 of them that all play a part in this. We recognize a bunch as a group a moment ago. But Emily Ritchie, who's our executive assistant, Randy Cass-Stevens, our executive associate athletics director and CFO, and firm moral and fiscal compass. Barry Faircloth, Lindsay Babcock, our deputy AD and SWA, who's in addition to supporting this and being engaged in this, is leading the search for the next volleyball coach at Wake Forest. And then Pete Poxtelis, Will Pantages, and Scott Garrett. I can't thank those guys enough. And I want to particularly apologize I don't have to apologize to Diane, Pete, because you guys have been around a long time, and she gets you. But Gabby Pantages and Christy Garrett have not seen their husbands in like 3 or 4 weeks, and certainly not this week. And so hopefully Christy and Gabby will forgive me, and I appreciate them pouring in. Also, my wife, Mary Lawrence, over here, who not only is battling an ankle injury, but also moved our family from one house to another in this process as well. So there you go. I did not mention a couple more of our coaches. Steve Forbes, our men's basketball coach. I appreciate Coach Forbes' engagement in this process and talking to our coaching candidates, just as Coach Clausen did when we hired Coach Forbes in 2020. And then Bobby Muse is our head men's soccer coach, and Bobby was recruiting in Toronto yesterday. Probably can't say where he was recruiting, right? Is that still the rule? I don't even know if that's still the rule, right? But recruiting, and he's going recruiting again today. All the rest of our coaches are off recruiting anywhere. Bobby, I don't think Bobby is going to be named ACC Coach of the Year, but he ought to be National Coach of the Year for the job he did managing his roster and getting to the Final 8 of the NCAA. Give Bobby a hand. I walked out of Coach Clausen's office, and I was like, hell, this might be real. And I called Chad Chatlos at Turnkey, who's been a great resource for me for years, and his professionalism and experience was critical in helping us to move so quickly and so confidentially. So to be a head coach at Wake Forest, right, we got some great ones in the room already, Coach. You got to have 5 things that were especially applicable in this process. Number 1, you must be smart. You can get away with not having smart at some places, but you can't at Wake Forest, because these guys right here are really smart. And if you're not a smart coach, they'll see right through you, right, coaches? They'll see right through it. We got smart coaches here. Not everybody has as many degrees as Coach Weichner, but we got smart coaches. Ethics, character, and fit for our university are not compromisable. Those are absolutes. To be a successful coach at Wake Forest, I believe you got to have experience in tough situations, right? Every place is tough. This place has advantages. We got some things we got to overcome every now and again, but you got to have tough. You got to have resilience, and you got to be able to overcome things. You need to have proven results to come to Wake Forest, right? Wake Forest deserves coaches with proven results who've won championships, just like every single one of these coaches here have before they came to Wake Forest. And then you got to be able to instill belief and bring energy to the table, right? And we saw that yesterday, right, man, on that Zoom call? You saw it? And I know that Coach Dickert checks every single one of those boxes. He brings a lot of the same qualities and values that Coach Clausen brought to this program: a commitment to excellence, a focus on relationship, a belief in doing the right things. We're really thrilled. It's not time yet. All right, we're thrilled to introduce Coach Dickert, and I again want to recognize Candace, Riley, Jet, and Jace. Give them another hand, all right? I'm really impressed by the discipline, and it was remarked, somebody pointed out, Candace on Twitter, the pro move of organizing the outfits and turning them that fast. That's all over social media. And then I was a little disappointed, but also respectful, because I asked Jet and Jace how many ice creams they ate at Grayland last night when they found Mrs. Gray's ice cream room, and they said they only ate one, because that's all they were allowed, all right? But we got another ice cream box back there. We can get into that, all right? All right, my children are telling me I got to move this on. In 1888, as President Wente, we played the first football game in North Carolina. And that score of that football game was 6-4, Wake Forest over UNC Chapel Hill. Right, Julie? All right, so this guy right here knows about rivalries. A couple big Apple Cup wins over Washington and a lot of others. And rooted in his core values of trust, truth, relationships, understanding, sharing, and togetherness. I think that aligns perfectly with what we do at Wake Forest, President Wente. Jake, you told us during our conversations from the beginning, being the head coach at Wake Forest University is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. It's actually a 3 times in a century opportunity. We compete at the highest level in the Atlantic Coast Conference. We win this thing, and we're looking forward to you leading us back to another championship soon. Please welcome the next head coach at Wake Forest University, Jake Dickert.
All right, good morning, everyone. What a day to be a Demon Deacon. I'm so fired up to be the 33rd head football coach at the prestigious Wake Forest University. And I think John alluded to it, this is an honor of a lifetime. I want to start by thanking my incredible wife, Candace. She can't wait to be the first lady of Demon Deacon football. And we're just so excited to be an integral part of the Winston-Salem and Wake Forest community. So if anyone give her a round of applause, please. I want to thank our 3 kids, Riley, Jet, and Jace. It's been an amazing 48 hours. You should saw their eyes light up when they walked into the football complex, and just amazing with them getting here. But it's my family's love and commitment that allows me to do what I do. The sacrifices of a coach's family, as many coaches know in this room, are really special, and allows me to give everything to our players, our staff, and Wake Forest University. And I think that's what makes this journey the last 17 years really, really special, and I love you guys. First off, I want to take a moment to recognize my players at Washington State. Yesterday was an emotional day for that football team, and we created an amazing amount of memories that I'll take with me for a lifetime. Those kids gave me everything they had. Their effort and commitment to me, our organization and program, was really special, and I thank them for that. I'm so grateful for Pat Shunn, Ann McCoy, and President Schultz of Washington State, who gave a belief and a trust in me and shared in my vision of making me a first-time head coach. Washington State is truly a special place, and I look forward to carrying on the lessons that I learned there here at Wake Forest. But looking ahead, I really want to start by having a heartfelt thank you to Athletics Director John Curry. John, thank you for your trust. This has been an amazing process that we've been through. The biggest thing I was looking for is a partnership. I really look forward to our partnership together and really building on the foundation of what Wake Forest is. And thank you for just sharing the tremendous vision, not only of your plan, but in every person here at Wake Forest, and just how invested everyone is in the future, and that means a lot to me. To President Wente, thank you for your unwavering support and commitment to the amazing student athletes here at Wake Forest. In every conversation we had, that was clear and concise of your vision and what this place means to you. Your leadership has put Wake Forest in a distinct position where academics and athletics can come together in truly a special way. And I think in recruiting, that's what's going to set us apart. Every time I sit in a parent's home, they really know the commitment that Wake Forest has to them as a person, player, and as a student athlete. So I thank you for that. I also want to thank our university leadership team. I had an amazing chance in a quick order to meet with all of our campus leaders as I went throughout a very thorough process, and they displayed an amazing alignment all across our university. And I think that's very rare and unique. And they still believe in the student-athlete experience and what it really means to be here at Wake Forest. I want to show my appreciation for Coach Clausen. He's shown me a tremendous amount of support throughout this process. We have had many conversations over the last 48 hours, and it's just easy to see in his press conference on Tuesday just the passion that he had for Wake Forest. Coach Clausen represents the best of Wake Forest, and you can really see that exemplified through his leadership. I'm just truly honored to follow in his footsteps, and I look forward to building on one of the most successful eras in Demon Deacon football. Let's recognize Coach Clausen. I really appreciate that. I also want to recognize special individuals like Bob McCreary, Ben Sutton, Alan Fox, and the many passionate Wake Foresters that have invested so much into our program. I look forward to building strong relationships with you all, and I look forward to taking our Wake Forest football program into new heights in the new era of college football. I want our current players today, I want you guys to stand up. I want to give these guys a round of applause. They're really important, guys. I want to remind these guys that they're the heart and soul of this football team. Okay, what I told them on the Zoom is that this is your team. I'm going to share the vision. We're going to be extremely accountable to the process that we know that wins and works and has been proven. But it's about you. We're going to build an amazing culture and a connection that I think is going to be really, really special. I told these guys also, be ready to have some of the most fun you've ever had playing a game. We're blessed, guys, to be able to play a game. And I get to mentor men through a game. And football is one of the best vehicles you could possibly imagine to develop people for this world, and I'm so excited for them. To our football alumni, we stand tall on the foundation that you have built. This is always and will forever be your home. Come back every chance you get. I can't wait to learn about the history of Wake Forest. I can't wait to hear about the trophies, the special moments, the times traveling with your football team, the locker room. Okay, come back and share your experience with our players. I think when you leave Wake Forest, I think you got a special story to tell, and I can't wait to invite all of our football alumni back into our building and on the field. And finally, to Deacon Nation, get ready to make a Legacy Stadium one of the toughest places to play in the ACC. I can't wait to roll the quad after our first win. I'm excited for that. I know the boys are ready to throw some toilet paper. I can't wait to compete for a Big Four championship in 2025. And remember, together we can achieve greatness for a mother so dear. Go Deeks!
Media members would raise their hand. We'll get a microphone around to you guys. We'll start with Josh on the right. Okay.
Welcome, Coach. Welcome, Coach. Josh Graham, WSJS.
Nice to meet you, Josh.
Usually when these searches happen, you don't have a chance to reflect or to have closure or to be present at all, but you had a 4.5-hour flight yesterday with your family.
A rocky one, I'll put it at that. It was almost a roller coaster on the way in.
But what were those conversations like with your family? What was that flight like?
Yeah, I think, anytime you're invested in your community, we shared a special moment, before we got down here. It gets me a little emotional. The coaching side of it, you don't always get to see the family side. My daughter's in 8th grade, and perfect time to transition because she's going to be able to graduate from one of the high schools here in our Winston-Salem community. To tell the football team was emotional. It was strong. It was powerful. Those guys meant a lot to me. And then to immediately transition to what's next, because this is an opportunity of a lifetime. And I think the best program builders are guys that maximize the moment. Yes, we're going to have a great 3-year plan, 5-year plan, 10-year plan, John. Yes. We're going to have all those things. But I think right now my number one focus is this football team, this roster, adding to it and maximizing everything we have here. And I think what an amazing place to do it here at Wake Forest. And we're ready to roll up our sleeves and get started.
John Dell on the left.
Hey, Coach. John Dell, Winston-Salem
Nice to meet you,
Journal.
John.
Nice to meet you. Last 24 years, there's been 2 coaches, 13 bowl games. In this new reality of the landscape of college football, is there a blueprint, or how do you plan on attacking that?
Well, I think first thing when I talked to John, it was one of the first things that really drew me to Wake Forest, stability. In a kind of a chaotic, turbulent college football scene, stability here at Wake Forest was vitally important to me, and it's really important to my family. So you got to be able to navigate it. And I think you have to have great vision and you have to have great leadership. And the plan that was showed to me that's in place shows the investment of everyone that's in this room. Wake Forest University is positioned to attack the current challenges and landscapes of college football. And that's exactly what I wanted to partner with. Coach Clausen was very adamant about the toughness of the last couple of years. And he's had a lot of hard conversations, and we've progressed to put ourselves and position ourselves to really navigate this landscape. And I'm excited about taking us and our program to the next level. So I told our guys, be ready. This time next year, they're not going to be on Zooms. We're going to be preparing for a bowl game. And I think that's vitally important. History and tradition of our university is special to everybody in this room. It's real simple when you start having conversations like I've had already. So to navigate those things, I think you got to be very detailed to a process, and that's exactly what we're going to do.
We'll go to John Johnson in the middle here, to the right of Josh.
Coach, John Johnson, WXI.
Nice to meet you, John.
Congratulations. You were building something out there in Washington State. Why was this the right time for you to make the move from there to Wake Forest, and what about this job attracted you the most in this situation?
It wasn't just about timing. I felt comfortable there, and it was a special place to me. They gave me my first opportunity, and that meant a lot to me. But this is an opportunity of a lifetime. I mean that. Whether I was there for 1 year, 2 years, 10 years, the opportunity when I got that original call from John was, let's go. This is a prestigious brand that is known for an amazing academic institution, an amazing athletic institution. One of the biggest draws, if I'm being honest, wasn't just the investment in the facilities. It was part of the location. And I'm a small town Midwestern kid, graduating class of 27, but I'm excited to get to this region of the country. I shared with John that where I was at Washington State, we're surrounded by Canada, Oregon, and Idaho. Not exactly the recruiting mecca of the U.S. Okay, so now we're surrounded by Virginia, Tennessee, South Carolina, our home state of North Carolina. I can't wait to meet the high school coaches of this state. I can't wait to invest in the high school recruiting in our own state. So it's really, really important to me. It's going to be important to our program. We're going to have a lot of access to our program. I think that's really important to show these high school kids how we treat our athletes here. And I think it's special, I think it's unique, and I think it's the right time. You know, I think I'm really honored to be here in the ACC, what a competitive conference it is, and I look forward to doing some special things here.
Cam Williams, DVD Digest 24/7
Nice to meet you,
Sports.
Cam.
Jake, you talked about retention and eventually recruiting. Obviously, a big part of that is NIL. How do you view the role of NIL collectives in college athletics, and how does that work, revenue sharing? What's kind of your plan of transparency with both everyone, players, going forward?
Well, I think that's definitely a unique process. I think the number one thing, that I loved, and President Wentz, obviously being to the max of the revenue share is a big deal in college athletics. It is. That gives us an opportunity every time we have those hard conversations with players to put ourselves in a position to tell them about their value and what they do for us here at the university. So NIL and collectives are a big part of it. Right? We'll continue to push and progress everything that we need to do, but I know this, at Wake Forest, every resource is going to be at your disposal. And I've been have tons of conversations with everyone, across the football alumni and donor base that are excited and energized about the future of our program, and that's we're going to utilize everything we can to build success here.
Hey, Coach. Tony Syracuse, the last word on college football.
Nice to meet you, Tony.
We actually met once before when I was on the West Coast covering Pac-12 football.
Okay.
Welcome to Winston.
The old Pac-12, right?
Yes, the very old Pac-12, yes. Everything's in a state of transition. You're in a state of transition. College football is right now, with the portal window being what it is. There's been a lot of activity to both sides of Wake Forest coming and going in the portal. How quickly are you going to be able to kind of get your hands around the roster that you have, what's available to you, what's out there in the portal, what your needs are, what's your time frame?
Well, life is about transition. Life is about change. I think that's the biggest thing as you see, this changing landscape of college football. We're rolling up our sleeves. As soon as we're done with these questions, it's immediately to the players. I'm going to grab a quick bite, and Damon's coming up to meet with me at 1 p.m., and I look forward to just setting out a schedule with all these guys, because building relationships is number one. We will really use the portal in a positive way. We'll recruit people that really fit our program. Our general manager, Rob Schlager, here, I think is really, really special, and we already have a plan in place to go out here and, like I said, maximize our current year. So I'm just really excited about what the future holds. I told guys, and John alluded to it, in the last 3 years as head coach at Washington State, I've been through it all. Right? The interim head coach process, the getting annexed out of the Power Four, essentially, if you want to use that. I told these guys, find strength in me. Let's go. I'm going to create a vision in our program that they're going to really relate to, and we're going to build a tremendous football program here at Wake Forest.
Coach Dickert, Les Johns, Demon Deacon Digest 24/7 Sports. You talk about building the staff here soon, and we'll hear some announcements on that. How do you counterbalance putting your personal stamp on the program and implementing your system and your culture versus keeping some folks around that'll kind of help you navigate these murky waters of learning Wake Forest over the coming months?
I definitely wouldn't say murky waters. We're excited about where we're at now. Coach Clausen has been an amazing resource. He has. And he's had a bunch of really special people around him really the last 11 years. I look forward to starting with those conversations tomorrow. And obviously, he shared his vision. I asked him, how did you do it when you transitioned here to Wake Forest? And it was having great conversation with who was here. It was bringing some people you trust and know that you can spread and share your vision, as long as finding ways to add and elevate where we've been. And I believe we have the opportunity to do that, because you should see my phone. I mean it. There is tons of interest of people who want to coach right here at Wake Forest. Like I said, our brand and where we're going and the investment made here, people are recognizing what's really important, and I look forward to putting that together really quickly.
Eddie Hughes in the back.
Hey, Coach, Eddie Hughes, Spectrum News 1.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Coach, how do you envision establishing Wake Forest as a consistent contending for a championship in the ACC with everything that's going on right now?
I think it starts with high school recruiting. You need to build your base. We've looked at, kind of the last few years of classes and how we want to attack that. That's regions of the country that we can go into and make sure we find the best fit for Wake Forest. There's a lot of talent in this world. There is. It's about finding the right player. Chip on the shoulder, tough, loves the academics, loves the athletic prowess, loves challenging themselves in everything that they do. That's how we're going to create and find success. It's about finding the right people. And it's about surrounding them with the right people. So I'm excited about the future. I'm excited about how we're going to build this thing the right way and build a program that can sustain. And then when you get to that level, you got to be willing to invest in the players, right? And that was part of this process. We just didn't have the resource where I was at to take and keep and retain our players. So to be here, I think, is really, really special. Excited about what we can build, but it's going to start from the high school ranks. And obviously the portal isn't some area that you can avoid. You have to be able to fill in spots through misses in recruiting, through needs, obviously special players that can come and elevate your football team. So we'll look through all areas as we work to build the best football team here at Wake Forest.
And we'll finish up with Connor on the right here.
Connor from Deansville.
Nice to meet you, Connor.
Met yesterday at the
All
airplane.
right.
I know it was a long day.
It was good.
One of the best things about Dave Clawson was how he fit Wake Forest. And I'm curious, you've mentioned a couple times you're a Midwest guy from a small town. You're coming from Washington State. How do you think you fit Wake Forest? And how much of that is an evolving landscape here at Wake Forest with revenue sharing coming down the pipe?
Well, it sounds like I got to work on my accent. I got a little Midwest upper, UP in me a little bit, so I do got to work on that. I got advice from my greatest mentor is Craig Bowl, and he's actually a really good friend with Coach Clawson. And he told me this a long time ago. He said, "Be you, be you," and it's always worked through my 17 years of coaching. I've had an opportunity that's really, really unique to coach at every level, D3 on up. And I get asked a lot of times, Coach, you must coach these big-time athletes way different than you did those D3 guys. I said, no, I don't. They need accountability. They need love. They need to be pushed and challenged. And I think that's how you build these guys into where they need to go. So I'm going to be myself. And I'm excited to learn more about the history and tradition of not only our university, but our area. But I'm fired up. I mean this. I've never had things like this in the investment levels here at Wake Forest. I've been at places, you look at my past, Fargo, North Dakota, Laramie, Wyoming, okay, Brookings, South Dakota. We flew in on the plane. We looked out the windows, and my kids were like, this is a big city. Like, this is really important to us. So it's just one of those things. And the first thing we said is like, I'm looking forward to eating the local eateries and the traditions of where we're at. So we are big on being part of the community. To me, coaching is serving. Okay, we're going to serve the players. We're going to serve the university. And we're going to serve this community to the highest honor. So we're really excited about getting into that.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you guys so much. Go Deacs!
We have time for just a couple of questions for BD John Curry. We'll start with Josh Graham.
John, I'm interested in the structure that you and Jake have discussed. We've seen general managers pop up all across the country. Is that a similar structure you expect in this new era of Wake Forest football?
I'm just the athletic director, right? And she gave me another title, but it's kind of like a bank, right? Same job, more titles. And so our head coaches, these guys are the experts. They're the experts in their craft and they're the experts in their field. And our staff's there to provide some support, find resources, and help them make those decisions when they ask for that help. But certainly, having a great plan that was evidenced with all the people we talked to, had their own plan. Clearly, Coach is really confident in the people he's brought with him already.
We'll do John Johnson on the right.
John Johnson, WXII. Figured I'd introduce myself again.
John, it's great. Everybody knows you, John. You're big time.
What was it about during this process that made Jake stand out amongst potential other candidates, and why do you feel like he was the perfect fit at this time for this program?
So I don't bring much, but I should bring relationships and history and knowledge and ability to learn about people even when you haven't met them, right? And the things that I heard about this coach, and because we had, like his phone's blowing up, our phones blew up, right? And, all kinds of names and places and Power 5, you name it, reaching out that were interested in this when it came open in a very short window. But what I heard was from some really trusted people was leadership. As you guys do your research, you'll find out about how he brought a team that was completely fractured in the middle of COVID together and rallied that team that was completely broken with like three coaches, right? You had 7 coaches got dismissed and all that kind of stuff, and rallied together and capped the win with a win over, their biggest rival for their people. So figuring out how to do that in a situation like that, shows, dexterity and being able to connect with people of all different kinds of backgrounds. I talked to, ironically, the coach, the president that gave him his first position gave me my first position, Kirk Schultz, who's the president of Washington State, who I had to call the other night, somewhat uncomfortably, but that's a box we don't leave unchecked. And President Schultz and his wife, Noel, talked about the engagement of this family in the community and about how they and their staff are around and at the theater and different places in Pullman. That's really important to Wake Forest. So those are just a couple of the things in addition to what I referenced earlier.
You got a less on the right. Hey, John. I'm curious how much of a help it was for Coach Clausen to give you an advance notice so you could begin the vetting process. How unusual was it to begin that vetting process when you don't know for sure that the job is going to be open? And how wide of a net did you cast? This has to be one of the most unusual searches you've been a part of.
Well, I've been a part of some unusual searches. And I've had some, massive success at searches, man. I had a coach that I hired, won the national championship this year, and another one in the Final Four and all that kind of stuff. So, and lots of championship success and coaches of the year. And I expect that with the coaches that we've hired here. And, as I said the other day, this is a tough position to be in, right? Ron Wellman hit 2 grand slam home runs hiring football coach at Wake Forest in Jim Grobe and Dave Clausen. And so, the clock's ticking on John Curry now, right? Just remember that, coach. This is a nice family over here. They're counting on you, all right? Les, what was your question? Sorry.
The unusual circumstances.
Oh, the unusual circumstances. Thank you very much. Yes, Coach Clausen's, as I mentioned the other day, I treasure my relationship with Dave Clausen, and it's probably been the closest it's ever been the last 2 or 3 years. We've been through a lot together, presidential transition, COVID, you name it, and then, trying to figure out the NIL stuff, and, as we've talked about, but a lot of long walks, et cetera. But when he told me, and it's all run together, right? So I know it was in the last 2 weeks since the season ended when he said, "Hey, I want to coach this team, and I want to be the coach, but I don't know if I can do it." Just like he said the other day. He said a lot of the same things to everybody that he said to me. He's a transparent and honest person, and he said, and if I go, you're going to have to transition fast. And so I imagine, we actually talked about some potential people and stuff like that. But, throughout that process, when we did not have a job open. And my priority and my hope throughout that process was that, he would decide to stay. And I didn't know until Monday that he was certainly not going to do that. And so throughout this process, we really had conversations, but we didn't have candidates, right? And we were bluntly honest with all of them that our first choice was our current coach, not a new coach. And so anyhow, and we're lucky, again, like resources and connection. I can't say enough. I've already talked about Scott and Will and our whole team, Pete Boxdell, Randy, you name it, Lindsay. I can't say enough about that support and resources. But, I'm just glad we're here. I went home yesterday. Barry and I went and had a little lunch, and I went home and took a 2-hour nap, right? Because it's that guy's responsibility now, and I'm here to help him, right? But I got tremendous confidence in him.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you all very much. Go Deeks.